From Quincy, Illinois, this is WGEM-TV, Channel 10.
WGEM News at 6 on the Tri-States News Leader.
Good evening, I'm Tom Bodak. President Reagan is in Canada for meetings with Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. However, little is expected to come from those talks. Closer to home, wild game hunters converged on Hannibal today for a wild turkey calling contest. The fires are nearly out in Burlington, Iowa, 2 days after a grain terminal explosion, and a fire rages near Iowa City after an explosion at a natural gas handling facility. Chris says the warm weather will stay with us as we head into the week. In sports, exhibition baseball season is drawing to a close. Those stories and more coming up following tonight's movie.
We'll have a full report from this grassroots event. Men's restaurant remains closed today after its workers went on strike. You'll hear from demonstrators on both sides of the labor issue. Tony Shaw has all the day's sports and your complete weather forecast next on News Channel 10.
This is WGEM-TV Channel 10. From the Tri-State's best news, this is News Channel 10 Weekend Edition.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight.
WGEM-TV Channel 10. From the Tri-State's best news station, Shan Wiston, Mark Baker, Corey McCloskey with Skywatch Weather, and Steve Luton with Sports Final. This is News Channel 10 Night Beat.
The search is over for a former Southeast Iowa woman as authorities find her body today.
But the investigation into her death continues. Good evening. Authorities say a partially burned body found today near Des Moines is that of a former Keokuk woman missing since last week.
News Channel 10 is next.
You're watching WGEM-TV Channel 10. From the Tri-State's best news station, Shan Wiston, Mark Baker, Corey McCloskey with Skywatch Weather, and Steve Luton with Sports Final. This is News Channel 10 Night Beat.
The stopping and starting at this Quincy intersection is here to stay.
As the Quincy City Council commits to permanent stop signs. Good evening. Many residents and students near 18th and Locust have been pushing for a four-way stop for years.
That's how Governor Egger wants to pay for Illinois schools. But is it selling?
And the shot heard around the Capitol. The House votes to lift the ban on assault weapons, but gets it with both barrels. News Channel 10 is next.
This is WGEM-TV, Quincy. Now, from the Tri-State's best news station, Shan Wiston, Gordon Boyd, Corey McCloskey with Skywatch Weather, and Steve Luton with Sports Final. This is News Channel 10 Night Beat.
The system isn't equitable. It isn't fair. It isn't right.
The man in charge says it's time to change.
The road to better schools, he says, starts with how we pay for them. Good evening, I'm Jennifer McIntyre. Shan Wiston has the night off. Illinois.
From the Tri-State's best news station, Shan Wiston, Rich Kane with Skywatch Weather, and Gene Allen with Ag News. This is WGEM News at noon.
Topping news at this hour, Hannibal police arrest 2 at Hannibal High School. Another auction going on at this hour at the Ramada Inn in Quincy. We'll have a live report and rewarding students for buckling up. Good
This is WGEM News Today with Natalie Will and Chief Meteorologist Rich Kane.
Good morning. Today is Monday, July 12th, 2010. I'm Natalie Will.
Good morning. I'm Rich Kane.
Halloween is a time for ghost, witches, and scary tales, but you don't have to look far to find some real ghost stories right here in the Tri-States.
That's right. On October 17th, 6 students, a film crew.
Every year, 400,000 people die because of smoking.
The CDC says 1 in 5 Americans lights up on a regular basis, and many of them are teenagers. But that's not necessarily the case in Adams County.
From WGEM in high definition. This is WGEM News Today, the Tri-State's news leader.
New this morning, 1 year after the Illinois budget impasse, we take a look at how local organizations are doing now and how they feel about the future.
Plus, new information after years of planning, a big first step underway to renovate Quincy's riverfront.
From WGEM in high definition. This is WGEM News Today, the Tri-State's news leader.
Waking up to the coldest temperatures we've seen in decades here in the Tri-States. It's dangerous, even life-threatening cold.
Warming centers open across the Tri-States as well. Many local schools and businesses are closed for the day so people could...
From WGEM in high definition with Natalie Will and Don Dwyer. This is WGEM News Today, the Tri-State's news leader. From WGEM in high definition. This is WGEM News at noon, the Tri-State's news leader.
New at noon, another Democratic candidate drops out of the 2020 race for president.
From WGEM in high definition. This is WGEM News at 5, the Tri-State's news leader.
All new at 5, building bridges. Progress being made on a new Tri-State bridge, plus retail expansion. New information about another store coming to Quincy, and fighting the virus, how COVID-19 is impacting the Tri-States. Good evening, I'm Dylan Austin. There are several new developments with the coronavirus tonight in the Tri-States. Cases adding up at essential businesses that continue to operate. Plus, Tri-State farmers say COVID-19 could have a serious impact on this year's growing season, and how a power company plans to handle past due bills after COVID-19 passes. All
from WGEM in high definition. This is WGEM News at 5, the Tri-State's news leader.
Well, new at 5, people under 21 years old aren't supposed to be able to buy tobacco products, but they can in some parts of the Tri-States.
You're ready for a change in career? A local college wants to help you take the plunge.
And how do you keep those new electronic devices safe from hackers? Good evening, I'm Dylan Austin.
And I'm Alexandra Carter. Those stories in just a minute. But first, a fire a little before 8 this morning destroyed a Hannibal home.
Hannibal Fire Department investigators say that all stations, a total of 14 firefighters, responded to 314 7th Street in Hannibal. Officials say the house and its contents were a total loss, and no one was home at the time of the fire. No injuries were reported either. The fire is being listed as...
From WGEM in high definition with Dylan Austin, Alexandra Carter, and Storm Track Weather with Chief Meteorologist Brian Inman. This is WGEM News at 5, the Tri-State's news leader.
Now is the time.
From WGEM in high definition. This is WGEM News at 6, the Tri-State's news leader.
There's a major shortage of substitute teachers in Quincy. So what's behind the trend and who's manning the classrooms?
And tense moments in Hannibal after a man with a gun is reportedly seen near the middle school.
Good evening. That suspect is behind bars tonight after a short foot chase ended at the YMCA. Police say 22-year-old Richard King was spotted with a handgun in the middle school parking lot about 1 o'clock.
On WGEM News right now.
Adams County gets ready to make the final payment on the new jail.
Another round of new trash totes is distributed in Quincy, but more still need to be delivered.
We have delivered over 300 this week.
You know, since that bridge has been out, we're not able to cross it with our farm machinery and hay equipment.
And a Tri-State bridge is one step closer to being replaced. How this will help local farmers.
Now from the Tri-State's news leader in high definition. This is WGEM News at 10.
History made in St. Louis tonight, taking a live look at the Enterprise Center. Quite the crowd. I can't even imagine the feeling there right now, Dylan.
Yeah, this is the scene in St. Louis. They actually opened up the Enterprise Center tonight, where you see fans celebrating there. Busch Stadium also open. The St. Louis Blues, historic tonight. First Stanley Cup championship in organizational history, a 52-year history that is. That streak snapped tonight, 4-1 victory over the Boston Bruins. Many of you just finished watching that game, and the celebration on tonight in St. Louis, and we're going to have more on this coming up in sports here in just a little bit, but
Yeah,
wow.
hearing some cheers there now. I can imagine the place is just rocking. One of 2 watch parties, as you said. So history made, and the St. Louis people are reveling.
We've got a pretty happy meteorologist, Mike Cole,
sure
here,
do.
chief meteorologist that is tonight as well. You're going to hear from him in just a few minutes, but right now we're going to jump into some local headlines.
New at 10, a closed bridge has caused problems for drivers in northeast Missouri. Tonight, the Taylor Bridge is a step closer to being replaced.
The bridge is just off of Highway 6124 in Taylor, Missouri. WGEM's Brett Neese reports.
From WGEM in high definition, this is WGEM News at 10, the Tri-State's news leader.
New at 10, a job opening at the Adams County Health Department could help in the fight against COVID-19. Plus,
I think there's a lot of confusion as far as the tiers and the phases and the percentages of our, ICU beds.
As more COVID restrictions in West Central Illinois could soon relax, local business owners say there is still a challenging road ahead. Good evening, I'm Dylan Austin.
And I'm Mackenzie Henderson. Some coronavirus mitigations in Illinois might end as early as this Friday.
That's as long as numbers here in Region 3, Western Illinois, hold up. We could see a move from Tier 3 to Tier 2 mitigations. But
from WGEM in high definition with Dylan Austin, Mackenzie Henderson, storm track weather with chief meteorologist Brian Inman and sports director Tony Cornish Jr. This is WGEM News at 10, the Tri-State's news leader.
New at 10, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds gave her condition of the state address tonight, which broke with the tradition of the governor delivering it in the morning.
Jennifer Wendling, part of the Tri-State's best news station.